Welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. I would say 70-80% of the tweets today were for you, Stevie, when I asked the question.
Yeah, I was. It took me about an hour to calm down after the game.
What made you so angry?
I was just raging.
What in particular?
Nothing in particular. I was just raging.
Right.
I was just annoyed.
What's the score? Come downstairs raging.
I was raging. I must admit, part of it with you were in my head as well.
Why me?
Well,
because the $50 you're going to have to give me.
Well, because I figured you'd be coming up with some sort of smarty parts from that in the show, but you didn't really.
We didn't. No.
You didn't really.
We've veered away from that. Purely because there is some empathy. There is some empathy towards you with your current situation.
It is quite the situation as well. I had to dress you today.
Oh, by the way, I meant to tell you.
I can't believe he was asked to come in today.
Go on.
My wife was taking the dog for a walk while the game was on, right? And at the end of the game, she obviously knew the game was over. I got a text, and she said, "Oh well, I guess Dan's bank balance will be $50 better."
Go on, Eleanor.
Even Eleanor's getting after me.
I love it.
Seriously.
Fantastic. She needs some relief from looking after you 24/7 at the moment, to be fair. Frank is with us as well. Sorry, Frank. All these questions are for Stevie. Stevie, I've always admired how you take responsibility when you get something wrong. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the worst, how wrong were you about your assessment of Arsenal when you made that $50 bet with Dan?
Well, I wasn't. See, here's the thing. I wasn't actually particularly wrong in the assessment of that one game.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
The mistake I made...
That was when you said that you didn't see any improvement after the Palace win.
See, here's the thing. I know exactly what I said. I told you for 20 minutes they played great football, right? And for the rest of the game, they were kind of back to normal.
Right.
Which is pretty much what they did last year.
Right.
They had spells like that 20 minutes.
Okay.
And then
but I asked you if you see any improvement, you said no.
Well, no, because...
You did say no.
Well, you've just agreed with me in my assessment of the Palace game.
What?
So why wouldn't I say there's not that much improvement?
Because they got the win. Obviously, we go back over all of this again.
Well, you just agreed with what I said.
They got the win against Palace, which they didn't do last season.
Right, but it's one game.
Right, okay, but then
and then the second mistake.
Right.
No. The mistake I really made.
Right.
Was diving in on the bet.
Right.
Because if I'd been rational about it, as you said, they won the game.
Yeah.
And the reason they won the game is because of Saliba, Jesus, and Zinchenko.
I feel we made the bet though further on into the season.
No, we didn't.
I think I know we'd have to check it. Don't.
Oh, I'm sure you'll check it.
Oh, we will check it.
No, listen.
Good to see you've mellowed on the subject.
Hey, it's not often I'm wrong.
So what number? 1 being
wrong
very
again.
wrong, 10 being not wrong at all.
Well, right now it looks like very, very, very wrong. They're sitting top of the Premier League.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm wrong.
So we got to the bottom what he was raging about.
What, in the game?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know, I was just angry.
Just angry. He's got a lot of problems
my job.
at the moment.
Yeah,
exactly.
angry.
Frank,
He hasn't got problems.
Frank had his hand up. Frank?
Angry.
Excuse me?
I was told you had your hand up, Frank.
No. The thing is, it's funny because during the game, you know, I said that I think Liverpool would win 3-1, you know, before the game. And the scenario was perfect where Arsenal scored and Liverpool equalized. And I said, okay, it's going to be good. And when every time Arsenal scored a goal, I thought of Stevie, you know, and I said, oh my God, Stevie, what are you going to... Dan's going to be on you, on Twitter, it's going to be on you.
Well, you were thinking of me and I was thinking of Dan.
I was feeling so bad, you know, because I say people... Yeah, and I have to say, I made a bet with Louise Moran, who is one of our producer of the show, that because she's a Gunner crazy fan, and I say, well, you know what, Chelsea is going to finish above Arsenal, which I really doubt now because Arsenal is doing great. But it's not only $50 that I bet. I bet a real big dinner in a fancy restaurant, so it's going to cost me more than you, Stevie, if I can console you a little bit.
I feel better now.
You're a millionaire, Frank.
Yeah. Can you wear shorts in this restaurant?
Yes, exactly.
Hey.
Okay.
Don't know what I'm angry about.
You're going
to have to undress him. I don't mean that.
Yes, yeah, I know.
Take his jacket off, put it on.
With the two last games with the 2 last game losses in the Premier League and Champions League, Stevie, and the amount of games Liverpool played, are we underestimating the physical and mental toll last season had on them?
Yeah, I don't think you can argue that Liverpool don't have that zip in the legs that we saw. Maybe not towards the end of the season, but certainly for the majority of the season, because there's no doubt they're not closing the ball the way they did.
Right.
You know, they're standing off. They're basically letting Arsenal and anybody else knock it around the back, and then engaging 35 yards from goal, which is not what they did. And you can't. The only reason you do that, if you're Liverpool, who have been closing right way up high, the only reason you don't do that is if you don't have the legs to do it. The manager must see that they don't have the legs, and so the guy's Lyman's terms is probably correct in saying that definitely physically, but when you get to the stage now when you've only won 2 out of 10, the mental side of it is huge,
right?
Because that thing in there drives your heart and your legs, and if that's not right, then the other 2 ain't going to work as well.
Is it a blessing in disguise, Stevie, that Liverpool have the World Cup in the middle of the season?
Depends how you want to look at it. I would say if there was no World Cup, then Liverpool would have had a bigger break, and might have had some more legs this time at the start of this year. So maybe because the World Cup's on, they didn't get such a break. That's why they're not physically as strong as they were. Now, as far as the actual World Cup taking place, I mean, who knows? The majority of the players are I would say, the majority of players are going to be at the World Cup, so they're not really going to be getting a break. So, yeah. Any which way you look at it, it's a disaster.
What's more of a struggle at the moment? Liverpool getting 3 points, or your ability with that sling to be able to consume 7,500 calories a day?
Oh, can't I?
How are you coping with that? I don't know how you're coping with the one-arm fork. Are you being fed?
Aye, absolutely, yeah.
Hold on.
I actually had a beer the other night.
No, but your missus is no
First
feeding
beer
you.
I had in 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, because I can't afford to trip up or bang it or...
Well, no, that's very...
I have been sat on my backside.
You'd never fall over when you've had a beer.
I've been sat on my backside the whole time.
Right. Lovely.
Yes.
Stevie, who finishes higher, Chelsea or Liverpool?
Oh, God. Again, how can you say Liverpool? I couldn't tell you when the form's going to change.
Right.
And Chelsea, what are they, 3 wins in a trot?
Yes.
Yeah. So there's nothing I can come up with that would suggest that Chelsea will not be ahead of Liverpool at the end of the season right now.
Frank, who's more likely to finish in the top 4, Chelsea or United?
Well, right now Chelsea is doing great, after the win against Milan and the win yesterday, 2 times 3-0. So let's say they might be back on track. I will have to give, and it's not because it's my forward club, but I will have to give more chances to Chelsea. I'm sorry, but Manchester United, I see again and still too many issues that they have in their football. I don't know. They tried to play from the back today, and starting from the back, playing nicely, and they're not ready for that. So they have to give that Ten Hag that has to give up that way of playing. But Chelsea, I don't know what we can expect. So, but I really think that the more talent at Chelsea that I can find at Manchester United.
Craig, with City 3 or 4-0 up by the hour mark in most of their games these days, do you really think the substitutes care for Pep's intensive instructions he gives them?
They don't listen, do they?
Do you listen to when they... No?
I mean, certainly not when the game's over.
Right.
But that's how it's been with City at the last few games anyway, isn't it? I mean, you're almost taking Haaland off in games because you feel sorry for teams. I mean, it's just the way it is, isn't it? So, yeah, no, probably not, would be the answer.
Frank,
he's gabbing away and they're going, shut up.
yes, I imagine so. Frank, what do you think how Laurent Blanc will do at Lyon?
Well, I wish him the best, and I think he proved when he managed Paris that, and he's still the best football that Paris played, and they had good results. Of course, they didn't get the championship, but they had good results, and I think it was unfair when he was sacked. It was also Mr. Aulas, the chairman of Lyon, his idea to bring Laurent Blanc like 2 years or 3 years ago, but the board and some friends say no, it's not the time. And Laurent Blanc didn't manage any team for the past 7 years. So it's quite of a question mark what will be his idea of playing. It's very special to coach Lyon because there is a special atmosphere in this city and with the club, and Mr. Aulas being the chairman for so many years. But I believe that Laurent Blanc has the charisma and the experience, and also is really legit to get that job, and everybody's going to listen to him. What the players and most players need nowadays is somebody that they can feel that they need and they have to be how do you say, to be nice to him, you know, because the guy represents something. Like you have Zidane, like you have Xavi. If you have Laurent Blanc or you have Guardiola, those players, they won many things when they were players, and they won many things as coaches. So I think Lyon and the players there need somebody like him. I really wish that he's going to be successful. Wish him that he's going to be successful.
Final question. Yesterday we talked about when the boys felt they were at their prime, which leads us to this. Do any of the guys remember how good they were at a young age? How would they fare against the pacey 11-year-old prime Daniel Thomas? I said I was at my prime at 11, basically. And it went downhill from then.
Prime at 11?
That's basically when I peaked. What
height were you when you were 11?
Say again?
What height were you when you were 11?
Well, everyone's at pretty much the same height at 11, aren't they? There's no like.
Well, you were 5'4" when you were 11.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's only when everyone started to grow and get stronger.
What's the point?
When you were at school, were you head and shoulders above everybody else, talent-wise, playing football?
Well, I think it would be rude to say.
No, but you could. Look, God, don't pretend you're modest now.
I think most kids that went on to play, youngsters were known in this area or schools as the better player in the area. Yeah, it was obvious.
Yeah, because
and you'd be bumped up, I imagine. Yeah, so you'd be playing with kids a lot older than you.
Yeah, not well on the pickup games, yes.
Yeah.
But when you're playing with your own team and you're playing your leagues, so back then you never travelled really. So like we come from Ayrshire.
Okay.
So they'd have the Ayrshire League. I mean, in the whole scheme of things, it's not a huge area.
Right.
So anybody who's actually good stands out a mile. So you kind of go through your younger years.
Were you always a defender? Because you always kind of think the best kids would be the striker.
No, I started off as a winger.
Right.
And then I went to midfield, and then I went to defence. I got the wake-up call when I joined Ayr United Boys Club. And we were playing in the Glasgow League, and I was also playing with players who were the same as me.
Right.
And all of a sudden you go from just dribbling past 3 or 4, giving it all that, I think you're Betty Big Spuds.
Yes.
To all of a sudden you're like, oh, hold on a minute. Everybody else here is either the same or better than me.
Right.
And I think that pretty much happens to most people, right?
When you're in your little town, area, Ayrshire, playing against teams that are maybe 15, 20 minutes away, the big step up was like going to the selection for the Scotland schoolboys under 15s, because now you're going to a selection in Glasgow or Edinburgh, and it's all the kids from all over the country, the best ones.
Right.
And all of a sudden, as Stevie said, everyone's at a level kind of similar.
You're not the big fish anymore.
You're not the big fish. In fact, some of the kids that actually made the team the year, I think it was 85, I made the team. I used to sit back and go, I was in the team, but I used to think, oh my God, never going to be. These kids were just way ahead at that time.
Right.
And then fell by the wayside by the time they were 18 or 19, didn't make professional. But there's usually loads of good kids about.
Were you better at football or basketball?
Shut up, or I'll come over there and I'll hit you with his sling.
Frank, you played as a striker, yeah?
I played as a striker and as a number 10, but I was very small until the age of 15, 16 years old, where I grew up and I had to give up football for like 3 months because I was growing too much.
Growing pains.
But I remember seeing a video of my parents on the tape where I thought I wasn't that good, but I saw him, dribbling everybody, taking on everybody, so I was pretty good. But as the guys, I was, the king of my district, I would say, and clubs were coming to hire me at the age of 9, 10 years old. But when I joined the Academy of Toulon and I faced David Ginola, was playing the same place, same position as me, and he was much taller than me, I realized that I was average comparing to him, that I had to work very hard to get his level and to get the level of many players. So that's what it is. That's the reality of it. You feel that you're good. You say, well, I'm awesome. I'm the best of the best. And you realize that you have so many other players that are even more talented than you are, and you have to work hard. And you have to have this, as Stevie said before about Liverpool, and this in your heart to make sure it works. Otherwise, you're not going to be there.
What must Messi have been like in his playground? Holy smokes.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine?
That is it, that brings us, we talked in the show about Marco van Basten and the quotes attributed to him. Maybe slightly misinterpreted the fact that no one was suggesting that he wanted someone to end Neymar's career, just that they put in a proper tackle. Just to put that there before Marco van Basten. What? Lawyers get involved. Just a reminder, ESPN FC back on your screens tomorrow. Be sure to join us. I imagine Mark Clattenburg will be here to talk about some of those big calls. Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.